The movie opens with a quote hinting at the protagonist's quest to become a savior. A scientist known as the Controller is researching a power that can turn ordinary people into superhumans. Suddenly, he receives encrypted messages from a mysterious individual who knows about his work and his expulsion from an organization. The stranger proposes a plan to bring the research to life, with the goal of saving the world from an impending apocalypse. The Controller begins searching for a suitable subject using DNA analysis and eventually discovers Joseph Stedman, a man who fits the criteria. The scene shifts to an interview with astrophysicist Michael Swofford, who predicts that gamma-ray bursts will be humanity's last sight before the apocalypse. He explains that a collapsing high-mass star will emit 2 narrow gamma-ray beams, and Earth happens to lie directly in their path, putting the planet at risk of destruction. Meanwhile, Joseph, or Joe, is a recovering alcoholic who currently works as a security guard at Redlock. He cherishes memories of quality time spent with his family on a seashore, where he shared 3 magical words, 143, representing "I love you," with his daughter Zoe. Unbeknownst to Joe, the Controller has been observing and recording his every move. The surveillance system reveals that Joe is undergoing psychiatric treatment for depression, suicidal tendencies, and anger issues. Unfortunately, Zoe holds her father responsible for her mother's death and harbors resentment towards him. She is romantically involved with Michael, the astrophysicist. On the other hand, Rhea, Zoe's younger sister, struggles with drug addiction and falls prey to a pimp named Nico. The Controller's men closely monitor and track the movements of Joe's daughters. At the library, Michael mentions finding someone who could bring hope for a better future. A recording shows that Joe used to have a happy family before his wife's death. Rhea was a joyful teenager, and Zoe loved her dad. Joe tries to reconnect with Zoe, but she doesn't want to see him. He ends up punching Michael, injuring Zoe even more. That night, while driving, Joe tries calling Rhea to make amends, but she doesn't answer. He pulls over and starts drinking, reminiscing about his memories with his wife. He had promised her to keep their family together, but he failed. Suddenly, a man hiding in the backseat kidnaps Joe and takes him to the Controller. The Controller implants a chip into Joe's eyes, allowing him to see what the Controller sees and communicates with him. When Joe wakes up, the Controller forces him to grab a pistol and shoot a woman. Reluctantly, Joe follows his order to protect his daughter from harm. However, the gun is empty, and the woman is one of the Controller's agents testing Joe's obedience. Meanwhile, a massive star has just exploded, and its destructive beam is heading toward Earth. Joe wakes up again and is instructed by the Controller to break into his boss's house. His boss, Charles, is the president of Redlock. Under surveillance, Joe manages to enter and demands Charles to take him to a safe where a laptop is kept. Joe uses his fingerprint to access the safe, revealing that his DNA is compatible with the system. Charles seizes the opportunity and attacks Joe, disarming him. He notices the optic implant, realizing that the Controller is the mastermind behind it all. It turns out that Charles was the Controller's boss, and he reveals why he had kicked the Controller out of the project, deeming it too dangerous. Suddenly, a drone shoots and kills Charles. The Controller orders Joe to cut off Charles' thumb and escape. Joe continues his mission, directed to Redlock's headquarters. Upon arrival, he is instructed to wear a mask while a drone releases gas bombs, killing all the employees. The Controller explains that their lives are insignificant compared to the bigger goal of saving the world. Joe reaches the main facility and uses Charles' thumb to open a door leading to a massive generator. The Controller forces Joe to enter the device if he wants to save his daughter's life. The generator activates, emitting a bright light that alters Joe's DNA. Shortly after, the generator explodes, and the Controller reports to his higher power that the mission is a success. Zoe watches the news and regrets her previous actions towards her father. Joe, covered in aluminum foil, wakes up at home and discovers he has gained incredible superpowers. When he gets angry, he can unleash a destructive purple beam from his body, astonishing the Controller. With his newfound abilities, Joe can even start a motorcycle without a key. To unlock his greatest potential, the Controller orders Joe to find Nico. Joe locates Nico at a brothel, but Nico distracts him with a camera flashlight and knocks him down. When Nico deliberately shows Joe a video of Rhea being seduced, Joe becomes furious and emits a blinding light, destroying the entire place. However, the Controller remains unsatisfied as Joe has yet to reach the required stress level. Nico's friend attempts to kill him, but Joe, being a superhuman, is immune to bullets. The pimp tries to run Joe over with his car, but Joe unleashes a powerful beam that instantly kills Nico. Shortly after, the police arrive and arrest Joe, taking him in for questioning. Mistaken as a terrorist, Joe is instructed by the controller to tell the detective that he has planted bombs at the Four Rivers shipyard. This causes panic among the police, who rush to the shipyard. Meanwhile, the controller informs Joe that he must get there before the police do, or they will be killed in the explosion. Joe manages to escape from the police station and steals a car to make his way to the shipyard. However, he faces distractions from other police officers. Using his powers, Joe transforms into a blast of light and travels at incredible speed. On the other side, the controller's men go to Zoe's house and kidnap her and her boyfriend. The police arrive at the shipyard and begin searching for the bombs. Fortunately, Joe arrives just in time and takes the container holding the bombs into the sky before it explodes. However, some debris hits an airplane's engine, causing it to descend. Using his abilities, Joe prevents the plane from crashing and safely lands it. Joe rushes to Zoe's location, as the controller threatens to kill her. By touching a laptop screen, Joe is able to track her whereabouts and quickly arrives to shield his daughter with an electromagnetic barrier. The controller's men attempt to shoot Joe, but their bullets have no effect on the superhuman. Joe easily defeats them. Shocked that her father is still alive, Zoe finally apologizes for her previous actions. However, it is revealed that the mysterious person who contacted the controller earlier was actually Michael. As the gamma ray beam approaches Earth, Michael, realizing the impending danger, grabs a pistol and tragically shoots Zoe in front of her father. Enraged, Joe retaliates and kills Michael. However, he is devastated to realize that he cannot save his daughter. Joe expresses his deep remorse for leaving Zoe alone after his wife's death. The situation worsens when the controller's men find and kill Rhea, broadcasting her death to Joe Live. Overwhelmed by grief and anger, Joe's emotions reach a boiling point. He emits an immense purple light that engulfs the entire Earth, even extending into outer space. The light forms an electromagnetic shield, completely enveloping and protecting the planet. Trapped within the shield, the controller utters his final words, claiming to have successfully created a god. Fed up with his deceit, Joe silences him forever by killing him. Unbeknownst to Joe, the plan devised by Michael and the controller to save the world has succeeded. Joe's incredible powers absorb the incoming gamma ray beams, preventing Earth's destruction. In a miraculous turn of events, Joe's promise to his deceased wife is finally fulfilled as he uses his powers to revive both of his daughters and reunite his family once again. I'm a die-hard sci-fi lover, and can tell you that I've watched my fair share of films that should never have got the green light for release. For the first half an hour of this film, I thought it was going to be another failed attempt at sci-fi. However, I have to commend the director for putting together such striking visuals and a storyline that had real potential to mark the beginning of a new era of the superhero saga.